Loneliness is unavoidable. We can tell ourselves that we love the seclusion, and some of us actually might, but for the most part, we all hunger for affection, friendship, companionship. In tonight's story, we'll find out what happens when you're lonely and seclude yourself for too long. Tonight's story is Strings and Dreams. It was a spacious two-bedroom home, one bedroom upstairs and the other downstairs. Nice living room with a fireplace. Large kitchen. Much too big for a single guy, but hell, I got it for the best price imaginable. The house was secluded out in the middle of the woods. I honestly didn't have any neighbors for miles, but I liked it that way. I was in the upstairs bedroom unpacking when I found it. I had slid my fingers under the side of a box to cut it open. As I did this, I accidentally ran the box cutter over my hand. Motherfucker! I yelled as I jolted back in pain. I fell back against a wooden plank that was leaned up against the wall, knocking it over. The plank had fallen at an angle where it punched a hole in the other wall. No shit. Haven't been here for 5 minutes and I'm already breaking things, I said to myself. I pulled the plank out of the wall and realized the draft that was coming in. There was a space behind that wall. I ran downstairs and grabbed my flashlight that I had unpacked. Clicked it on and then stuck it inside. I stuck my eye relatively close to the flashlight, in fear of spiders or anything. I didn't want to get too close. The space beyond the wall actually shocked me. I didn't expect it to be more than a couple feet, maybe just for insulation, but there was about 9 feet. I had to know what was on the other side. I ran downstairs in search of a hammer. Thankfully, finding one quickly, I ran back upstairs and began pulling the drywall away to reveal what looked like a very large crawl space. The ceiling was only about 5 feet, so I had to crouch down, but it went about 9 feet back. Flashing the light around, looking for spiders or any other pests, I slowly moved to the back where I could hardly see. There was nothing in the crawl space, with the exception of a small box marked Home Videos. Not feeling comfortable in the crawl space, I decided to bring the box out. I walked it downstairs and sat it on my countertop and opened it. Inside the box were about 4 VHS tapes, each one with a different name. The first one read, "Having Fun at the Neighbor's Party." The second one read, "Met a New Friend." The third one read, "Halloween Night." And then the fourth one simply didn't have a label. Well, this was annoying. I was curious about the tapes, but Lord knows no one owns a VHS player anymore. After a quick phone call to my parents, my dad decided to drop it off. He was going to work anyway. Took me a couple minutes to figure out how to hook up a VHS player, considering I hadn't done it in so long, but eventually I figured it out. I popped the first tape in, "Having Fun with the Neighbors." The TV roared to life as I turned it on, and only to feature a blue screen, pretty standard with these home videotapes. Then suddenly static, but eventually the static and audio cutting teared away and revealed someone probably around the age of 9 walking with a video camera. They appeared to be at some sort of cookout or block party. Well, this certainly wasn't filmed here, I said to myself. Like I said before, I don't have any neighbors for about 4 miles. In the video, the young child walks around, talking to different people, having them wave at the camera, but there was one guy in the video that the child didn't seem to have any interest in. He was standing further back from everyone. He was dressed in all black, with what looked like a skull cap or a beanie on his head. He apparently had long hair, and I don't know, that's all. He had dark skin, I guess. That's all I could tell you about him. He was only in the frame for about a minute or two, and it looked as if the child wanted to go over and say something to him, but just stood about 20 feet away, and then eventually turned away after who I'd assume is his mother called him. The recording finally cut. I fast-forwarded to the end of the tape and there was nothing else on it. I ejected it and put in the next one. The second one was labeled "Met a New Friend." I turned it on and same thing before, blue screen followed by static that eventually cleared up. This tape was a little more unnerving. The footage was really jumpy and the audio kept cutting out or something. It wasn't silent when it cut out, it was more of a staticky noise. But it was clearly the same child who had the camera before, pointing it to a dark corner in his bedroom, just having a one-sided conversation. Every once in a while, the kid would laugh, and that would be about that. The recording cut out, and I began to fast forward again. Much to my surprise, there was more on this tape. Apparently, the child's mother was yelling at the father for some reason. The audio was really illegible because they were far away, but the kid was just walking through the halls, and I assume his parents did this a lot because he didn't seem to be bothered by it. At one point, he looked up at nothing and just said, "I'm glad I have you." I don't know, maybe they were the religious type and he was talking to someone in what he thought was heaven, I don't know. But the one thing that kinda, again, unnerving was he pretended to hold someone's hand while he was walking. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. The kid had an imaginary friend and he was filming their time together. I mean, given 9 is a little old to have an imaginary friend, but if this video did take place out here, I can imagine that the kid didn't get out too much. The video cut again, but this time it cut directly to another part of the house. The kid was standing in the basement with his face against the wall, just saying over and over again, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This was getting a little creepy. A shadow of someone came into the frame, and that's where it cut. Suddenly, the video cut again. There was a lot of content on this one, apparently. The kid was sitting outside by himself with the camera pointed at himself on a swing, and he mentioned that he enjoyed having his new friend. He said his name is... The video had cut. I fast-forwarded the track again only to find more blue screen. Nothing else was on this tape. I figured it was time to go to the next one. I don't know why, but I almost felt like there was a story being told here. Like someone needed to see these tapes. Although the second one had unnerved me a little bit, I wanted to keep going. I wanted to see if there was anything interesting on the tapes, or maybe anything I could show to the police if it got weird. I popped in the third tape, Halloween night. This time, either the mother or the father was holding the camera but wasn't saying anything, and the child was dressed as a Power Ranger walking down the street in a busy neighborhood full of trick-or-treaters. He laughed and talked about how much candy he was getting and how much fun he was having. You know, normal stuff kids do. But there was one part of the video that began to really concern me. His mother had asked about his imaginary friend. He just looked up and said, I'm not supposed to tell you. The mother pried for more information on the imaginary friend, and was actually, much to my surprise, met with hostility. At one point, the child got so angry he threw his bag of candy into the street and started walking the other way. His mother chased after him momentarily before the video cut. Then, the video went to pure static. I was just about to get up and fast forward when I saw the video again. The mother was running around frantically looking for her child. He couldn't be found anywhere. I guess while she was running, the video camera had gotten turned back on because there was no actual steadiness to the video. It was just images of the street, the sky, her panicking. Suddenly there was another video that cut right in the middle of that one. There was no time in between them. It was one and then the other. It was the mother and father laying in bed next to each other. The timestamp on the video said 4:29 a.m. Someone, much taller than a 9-year-old I might add, was standing above them, watching them sleep. The mother had been crying, her makeup ran down her face. Whoever was holding the video camera sounded as if they weren't breathing. I couldn't hear anything aside from the deafening silence and the occasional shuffle one of the two in the bed would make. Suddenly, an arm extended into the camera's view. Whoever was recording this was touching the mother's face. Whoever it was wearing a black jacket and had, well, I couldn't tell by the lighting, but almost gray-looking skin. The video stopped. I started to fast-forward it, but then something caught my eye. This clip couldn't have been more than 3 seconds long. It was, what I want to say the child, and he was hanging from a tree. I couldn't tell what was around him, but he was hanging from a tree, and I had to pause it. I really wished I hadn't. I rewound it back and paused it right on when I thought the image played. It was in fact the child, in the same Halloween costume. He was hanging from a tree by some sort of tether around his neck. The video only showed the child's back. Honestly, I'm kinda thankful for that. I don't know how I'd react to seeing his face. I ejected the video. I didn't want to see what else was on here. I had to bring this to the police. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before. I've never been in this situation. I don't know. I'm just breaking down. My thoughts are racing. I'm pretty sure I literally just saw a video of a child murder. My stomach began to turn. I stopped and I looked at the box. Only one videotape left. The one with no name. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting it in the VHS player? Why am I hitting play? Curiosity finally got the best of me. I sat down and watched the video. I repeat what I said earlier. I really wish I hadn't. The camera was stationary, as if someone set it down and then pressed record. The man in the black jacket walked through the house. Out of the camera's view, suddenly there was an ear-piercing scream, the sound of a gunshot, multiple people yelling at once, a man and a woman. I only assumed it would be the mother and father. And then, silence. The man in black came back into the screen. I don't know if it was just me or it was the flash on the camera, but it almost looked like his eyes were glowing yellow. He walked through the house. There was something wrong here. I could just feel that the video was about to take a turn into nightmare fuel. He was humming something, and I don't know what it was, but he just continuously hummed. The mother and father sat upright on the bed looking at the floor. I could tell they were breathing because of the way their backs were moving. Do it, the man behind the camera said. The father reached under the bed next to him and removed what looked like a 12-gauge shotgun and put it in his mouth. The mother seemed to be in some sort of trance. She seemed almost unriveted by what was happening in front of her.
Go on,
the man behind the camera said. The father pulled the trigger. You know what happens next.
Your turn,
he said in some demented, sing-songy voice to the mother. She then did the same. Parts of, well, what's left of their skulls sprayed on the walls. The man with the camera started humming that creepy tune again. No. This time, he was singing.
They call me the puppeteer. I had no friends like you, for nobody saw the value of my friendship. But in the end, they became my friends with my strings and dreams. They call me the puppeteer, my body dark and my eyes hunger of gold. In my eyes, no one is alone, and with my strings and dreams, you shall be my friend too.
As he sang this, I felt as if I wanted to vomit. I felt like I couldn't breathe. In fact, I couldn't? What was I doing? I looked around. It was as if I had no control over my body. I was tying a noose with an electric cable. What the hell am I doing? Stop! Please stop! My God, somebody help me! I can't stop myself.
They call me the puppeteer.
I stopped myself. My God, please, somebody help me. Somebody come through my door. Somebody, anybody. I had no control over my body. I kicked the chair out from under myself. I felt myself drop, all the pressure on my neck suddenly. I gasped for air, but nothing would come through. The last thing I saw was a man in dark clothing with golden eyes standing in the corner of my living room.